Today's focus is on 20 small health habits commonly found in everyday life in Japan. Not dramatic routines, not extreme discipline, just quiet behaviors woven naturally into ordinary days, from the first moments of morning to the final minutes before sleep. Before looking at the habits themselves, one thing needs to be clarified. When Japanese longevity is discussed, the explanation often stops at genetics, as if long life were largely predetermined. But research increasingly points in a different direction. Not biology alone, but repeated daily behaviors, how stress is regulated, how movement is integrated, how food is eaten, and how recovery is allowed to happen. These patterns are subtle, almost invisible, but over decades they accumulate. A 2021 study from Duke University compared Japanese people living in Japan with Japanese people living abroad. A clear difference emerged. Those residing in Japan tended to live longer. That gap suggests environment and lifestyle, how days are structured, how the nervous system is treated, how rest is built into routine, may matter as much as or more than genetics alone. So this is not about radical transformations. It is about small adjustments that gradually shift the body and mind's baseline. We begin in the morning. 1. Starting the day with hands together. In Japan, placing the palms together is a common gesture. It appears before meals, at shrines, and even in casual moments. Because it is so familiar, many people do it without conscious intention. Yet the gesture itself has a regulating effect. When the palms meet gently, attention turns inward, scattered thought pauses, the body receives a subtle signal of stillness. Some traditions describe the right hand as active energy and the left as receptive energy. When they meet, balance is symbolized. Whether or not one accepts that framework, the psychological mechanism is clear. A simple physical ritual anchors awareness in the present moment. Posture and touch signal safety to the nervous system. Even one slow breath in this position can reduce internal noise. It is easy to overlook. That is exactly why it works. 2. Dry towel rubbing. Another traditional self-care habit uses nothing more than a dry towel. The skin is gently rubbed, creating friction that stimulates circulation and wakes up the surface of the body. Historically, this practice was associated with resistance to illness and overall vitality. In earlier decades, some schools even encouraged children to do this outdoors in cold weather, not just for physical resilience, but mental toughness. That extreme approach isn't necessary. A brief, gentle version before a shower is enough. Blood flow increases, body awareness sharpens, the body feels warmer and more alert. A small physical signal creates a noticeable internal shift. 3. Bathing in more than water. In Japanese, the concept of yoku, or bathing, extends beyond hot water. There is forest bathing, shinrin-yoku, where people walk slowly through nature, not for exercise, but for sensory restoration. Filtered light, natural scents, soft, irregular sounds. These inputs move the nervous system out of vigilance and into recovery. Modern life often does the opposite. Instead of bathing in nature, many people are bathing in stimulation, screens, notifications, constant information. Traditional habits remind the body what clean input feels like. Light, air, greenery, and water become regulatory environments. The nervous system doesn't need more input, it needs gentler input. 4. Barefoot at home. In Japan, shoes are not worn indoors. Floors are treated as clean, lived-in spaces. Walking barefoot does more than increase comfort. The soles of the feet contain dense nerve endings that influence balance, posture, and relaxation. Removing shoes at the door also marks a psychological transition. Outside stimulation ends. Inside, the body downshifts. A small environmental rule produces a small physiological shift. Repeated daily, that shift becomes the body's baseline. 5. 5 minutes of morning cleaning. Cleaning in Japan is viewed more than a chore, it's a mental reset. Visual clutter creates cognitive load. Even when ignored, the brain is still processing unfinished signals.
A short cleaning ritual, just 5 minutes, reduces that background noise. It doesn't create motivation or inspiration, it creates structure, and structure quietly supports clarity for hours afterward. 6. Eating until 80% full. In places like Okinawa, there is a phrase often said around meals, hara hachibu, eat until you are about 80% full. This isn't dieting, it's a pause built into eating. Meals end before fullness becomes heaviness, digestion has room to work, blood sugar rises more gradually, energy remains steadier. Over time, this habit trains sensitivity, recognizing satisfaction before discomfort. One meal feels minor, years of meals change metabolic strain.
7. Favoring warm meals. Traditional Japanese meals often emphasize warmth. Soups, steamed vegetables, rice, grilled fish. Cold foods exist, but they aren't constant. Warm food requires less internal effort to digest. Blood flow stays centered. The body feels supported rather than strained. Especially in the morning and evening, warmth signals safety, and safety supports digestion. 8. Smaller portions with more variety. Many Japanese meals consist of several small dishes rather than one large portion. This naturally slows eating. Switching dishes creates pauses that allow satiety signals to register. It also increases nutritional diversity. Small amounts of many foods provide a broader micronutrient range than large amounts of one. Visually, variety creates completeness without excess. Satisfaction comes from balance, not volume. 9. Fermented foods as a daily presence. Miso, natto, pickles, and other fermented foods appear regularly, not occasionally. These foods support the gut microbiome, which influences immunity, inflammation, and mood. The key is frequency, small amounts consistently. Gut health becomes a background condition, not a special intervention. 10. Drinking tea throughout the day. Green tea and roasted barley tea are common in homes and workplaces. Tea replaces some snacking and sugary drinks. It provides warmth, mild stimulation, and hydration without spikes. The act of pouring and sipping also creates pauses. Over a day, those pauses accumulate into repeated nervous system resets. 11. Walking as transportation. Movement in Japan is often built into daily life. Walking to stations, shops, and work happens in small, frequent segments. This distributed movement supports joints, circulation, and metabolism without extreme stress. It requires less willpower because it isn't labeled exercise. Consistency replaces intensity. 12. Posture awareness in shared spaces. In public places, people often sit upright, not rigidly, but attentively. Posture influences internal state. Slumped positions reinforce fatigue. Aligned posture supports breathing, alertness, and calm. Small adjustments in how the body is held quietly shape how the mind feels. 13. Short, frequent breaks. Instead of long periods of strain followed by dramatic relief, many work rhythms include brief pauses, tea breaks, stepping outside, short walks. The nervous system recovers better from frequent small reductions in load than from rare long breaks. Recovery becomes part of the day, not something postponed. 14. Nighttime bathing as a transition. Evening baths are common, serving as a boundary between activity and rest. Warm water relaxes muscles, dilates blood vessels, and signals the end of the day. Sleep quality often depends less on bedtime itself and more on how the hour before bed unfolds. 15. Minimal sleeping spaces. Bedrooms are often simple, low bedding, minimal furniture, little clutter. Fewer visual demands mean fewer mental demands. A quiet environment makes rest easier by asking less of the brain. 16. Respecting seasonal rhythms. Food, clothing, and routines adjust with the seasons, lighter in summer, warmer in winter. Windows open when the air is fresh.
Cooperating with the environment creates less internal resistance. Less resistance means less stress. 17. Gentle social connection. Many interactions are brief but frequent. Greetings, small exchanges, shared meals. These low-intensity connections still regulate the nervous system. Belonging doesn't need to be loud to be effective. 18. Valuing routine over novelty. Familiar meals, regular routes, and predictable schedules reduce decision fatigue. Predictability calms the nervous system. Stability becomes a form of nourishment. 19. Allowing slower moments. Not everything is rushed. Eating, bathing, and walking through nature often happen at an unhurried pace. Slowness acts as recovery. Without it, stress stays elevated too long. 20. Ending the day with closure. Tidying small areas, preparing clothes, reviewing plans. These actions close open loops. Sleep comes more easily when tomorrow feels contained rather than chaotic. None of these habits are extreme. None require dramatic change. They're small, repeatable behaviors that gently regulate the body and mind. Practiced daily, they create steadiness, clarity, and resilience. These habits don't change life overnight. They change what your body returns to every day. That's where real health is built. And if you want to go deeper, the next video breaks down 8 Japanese habits that quietly reshape how you live. It's waiting for you.